This week we're going to start examining the elements of the short story, and we're going to begin with plot. Now, of course, each of the elements works together to make the story. And one of your assignments in the last couple of weeks was to watch a PowerPoint on the elements and then to discuss which elements you thought were most important, or if one were more important than the rest. Well, plot, of course, is an extremely important element, as well it should be, because without a plot, we're going to lose interest. Now, as I said in the written lecture, well, small lecture, I wouldn't even call it a lecture, but the explanation on Blackboard, that there are stories and novels that don't have strong plots. They're called slice of life. And a lot of times we are left unsatisfied by those types of literature because for some reason as human beings we want it all tidily wound up in the end, and we want something exciting as we go along. Now, in that PowerPoint about the elements, I outlined how the plot in a short story goes. You usually begin with a conflict. And again, we want conflict as human beings. We might want a happy ending, but we want the characters to suffer before they get there. So there is a conflict, and it can be many different kinds of conflicts. It can be a conflict with nature, a conflict with other people, or a conflict within oneself, the protagonist, who is usually the good person, and I'm trying to avoid saying good guy in order not to be sexist, of the story. And then you also have the antagonist, who is the person who is bugging the protagonist. But you start with a conflict. And the conflict escalates into a crisis, and then the crisis is resolved. So it has a mountain, a triangular effect. Now, in a novel, you have the same type of plot, but it's going to go up and down and up and down and up and down, usually because a novel is longer. But it can be in a novel that you just have one singular crisis. Now, the denouement, or the resolution of the story, is also something that's very important to us as humans. And I am fond of telling the story, yes, I have hundreds of stories, about standing outside the State Movie Theater in Humboldt County, California in 1977 in order to watch a very famous movie. Does anybody know what it is? I'll give you a minute to think about it. That's right, Star Wars. And at the end of that first Star Wars movie, the first movie, when Luke finds out different things about, Darth Vader claims to be his father. But at the end of the movie, instead of having a resolution, Darth Vader goes spinning away in his TIE fighter. I think it's a TIE fighter and not an X-Wing. There is no resolution. And in the movie theater, most of the audience went, "What? What just happened?" We wanted Darth Vader to get his comeuppance. We wanted everything to be wrapped up tidily. Now, at that time, in 1977, we did not know that there were going to be 5 more installments, which were eventually going to explain everything and tie it up together. But we want an ending. Some people like that leave you hanging type of plot or action, but many people don't. We want everything wrapped up tidily at the end. And so the plot, again, is very important to a short story. Now, a weak plot, can be carried along if the characters are very strong or the setting is very strong, and vice versa. A good plot that keeps us interested can sometimes cover up for weak characters or a weak setting. But most of us, when we talk about a good story, we're talking about the plot and how it holds our interest. Now, this week you're reading a story by Cheever, and gosh dang, the name of the other author already, Margaret Atwood. Which in Atwood's is a story of metafiction, and I'm going to talk about that later in the week because I want you to read those stories and to form opinions of your own about them before I tell you what I think they're all about. So read the stories. Keep thinking about the plot as you are reading it. And Atwood Story in particular makes a big deal out of plot. So enjoy. And I always like your feedback on these stories because at some point in the future I will teach this class again. And I like to know which stories you like and which ones you think are more successful. So, bon appetit.